Ever wondered how Kim Jung Un, the enigmatic leader of North Korea, spends an astonishing $600 million on travel? Well, we'll be diving into that today. In the heart of the Korean peninsula, beneath the shadow of towering mountains and amidst the hum of bustling city life, a story of power, luxury, and isolation unfolds. This is the tale of Kim Jung Un, the supreme leader of North Korea. His ascent to power in 2011 signaled a new era for the isolated nation, an era marked by the same iron fist that had guided his predecessors, but with a touch of youthful vigor and unpredictability. Kim Jong-un, the youngest son of Kim Jong-il, was a relative unknown on the international stage prior to his father's death. Yet he was thrust into the spotlight, assuming control over a nation steeped in mystery and defined by its uncompromising stance against Western influence. This was a country, after all, that had long prided itself on its self-reliance, or juche, as it's known in Korean. But even as the nation remained isolated from much of the world, its leadership enjoyed a lifestyle that was anything but austere. From the earliest days of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the country's leaders have indulged in luxuries that stand in stark contrast to the conditions endured by the average North Korean citizen. This lavish lifestyle, inherited by Kim Jong-un, is often seen as a symbol of the deep-seated inequality that pervades North Korean society. And so as Kim Jong-un stepped into his father's shoes in 2011, the world held its breath. Here was a young leader, barely in his late 20s, now at the helm of one of the world's most secretive and controversial nations. Questions abounded. Would he follow in his father's footsteps, or would he chart his own path? As we'll see, the answer lies somewhere in between, in the $600 million spent on travel, in the opulence of his lifestyle, and in the enigma that is Kim Jong-un. As Kim Jong-un stepped into his father's shoes, the world held its breath, curious about the young leader's next move. Following his ascension, Kim Jong-un began to display a penchant for luxury, particularly in his travel preferences. Not long after he took the reins of power in North Korea, Kim Jong-un started to paint a picture of a lifestyle that was far from the ordinary. In the early years of his rule, one could observe a clear pattern. Kim was not one to shy away from splurging, especially when it came to his travels. His first few voyages as the supreme leader of North Korea were nothing short of opulent. He was seen jet-setting in private aircraft, one of which was a top-of-the-line Soviet Ilyushin jet, a symbol of power and prestige. This plane, often referred to as Air Force Un, was not just any aircraft. It was equipped with plush leather seats, a fully stocked bar, and even a bedroom suite. The cost of such an extravagant mode of travel? Well into the tens of millions. But his love for luxury didn't stop there. When not in the air, Kim Jong-un was often seen navigating the waters on his private yachts. His favorite, a 200-foot yacht, was described by his friend, the former NBA player Dennis Rodman, as a cross between a ferry and a Disney boat. Outfitted with multiple decks, a pool, and a host of other amenities, this floating palace came with a hefty price tag of around $8 million. All these travels, with their staggering costs, were not just about personal indulgence. They were also a statement, a display of power and wealth intended to not only impress the international audience, but also his own people. It's estimated that in these early years alone, Kim Jong-un spent a staggering amount of North Korea's wealth on his travels, with the total sum reaching into the hundreds of millions. The world watched in surprise as this young leader began to display an extravagant lifestyle, especially in his traveling habits. As the years passed, Kim's travel expenses only seemed to skyrocket. With a preference for style and security, Kim Jong-un's travel choices have often mirrored his larger-than-life persona. His mode of transport? An armored train, a relic from a bygone era, yet undeniably secure and extravagant. This unique choice of transport, while seemingly archaic, is a testament to his penchant for the grandiose. As Kim's reign continued, these armored train journeys became more frequent. Each trip was not just a journey, but a spectacle, a show of wealth and power. The train, equipped with plush pink leather armchairs and glossy mahogany tables, was the epitome of luxury. Not only was it armored, but it was also reported to be stocked with cases of fine French wine and delicacies from around the globe. One of the most significant trips Kim undertook was to his historic summit with the American president in Singapore. The estimated cost of this trip alone was a staggering $5 million. This included the charter of a foreign aircraft, as North Korean planes were deemed unfit for the journey. The cost also covered the booking of an entire luxurious hotel and a team of bodyguards for his security. Another extravagant trip was his visit to Russia, where he met with President Vladimir Putin. The train journey to Russia alone was estimated to cost $2 million. This was due to the extensive route the train had to take for security reasons, and the lavish lifestyle maintained on board throughout the journey. Kim's travels soon became a symbol of his rule, a display of wealth and power to the world. These trips, far from being mere diplomatic visits, were grand statements, echoing the extravagance and opulence of his regime. And so the armored train rolls on, a symbol of a leader who spares no expense in showcasing his might and wealth. However, Kim's extravagant travels were not without controversy. As news of Kim Jung Un's lavish travel expenses started to circulate, a wave of criticism began to swell in the international community. Eyebrows were raised, and questions started to pour in from all corners of the globe. Let's delve a bit deeper into this controversy. Imagine the leader of an impoverished nation, where millions are grappling with food scarcity and economic hardships, spending $600 million on personal travels. It's not a scene that sits well with most people, is it? And that's precisely the point. The disparity between the living conditions of the North Korean people and the opulence of their leader's lifestyle sparked outrage and indignation worldwide. The United Nations, for instance, has repeatedly condemned Kim's extravagant spending, pointing out the stark contrast with the severe economic and humanitarian crises that his people face. They've argued that the funds squandered on luxury travel could have been used to improve the lives of the North Korean population, many of whom live in abject poverty. But the controversy doesn't end there. There's also the question of where the money comes from. Given North Korea's struggling economy, many have speculated that these funds could be the result of illegal activities, such as smuggling, cybercrime, or the illicit arms trade. These suspicions have only added fuel to the fire, intensifying the criticism and scrutiny directed at Kim's regime. In the face of such controversy, one might expect a leader to back down, to reconsider their actions. But Kim Jung Un? He seemed to remain completely unfazed. His travels continued, each trip more extravagant than the last, each expense more shocking than the one before. It was as if the international outcry fell on deaf ears. Despite the controversy, Kim continued his extravagant travels, seemingly unfazed by the criticism. Whether this is a show of defiance, a display of power, or simply indifference, one thing is clear. The controversy surrounding Kim Jong Un's travel expenses remains a hot topic in international discourse. So how does Kim Jong Un spend $600 million on travel? That's the burning question we've been exploring today. Let's quickly recap what we've learned. Our journey began with the rise of Kim Jong Un, a new leader stepping into the limelight. His early years were marked by a modest lifestyle, far from the extravagant displays that would later define his reign. As time passed, however, the extravagance of Kim's travels began to grow. This wasn't just about getting from point A to point B, it was a show of power and wealth, a testament to the opulence that can be afforded by those at the top. Private jets, a fleet of luxury vehicles, and a personal train. These are not just modes of transport for Kim, but symbols of his status. His travels are not simply about reaching a destination, but rather about the journey itself. A journey marked by luxury and indulgence, often in stark contrast to the harsh realities faced by many of his citizens. The controversy surrounding these expenses is palpable. Critics argue that the $600 million could have been put to better use, improving the lives of North Koreans. Yet it seems that for Kim Jong Un, the symbolic value of these extravagant travels outweighs their cost. And therein lies the crux of the matter. The $600 million spent on travel by Kim Jong Un is not just about the physical act of moving from one place to another. It's a complex tapestry woven with threads of power, wealth, and status. It's a statement to the world, a display of dominance and extravagance that is as controversial as it is fascinating. In a world where power is often displayed through wealth, Kim Jung Un's $600 million travel expenses serve as a stark reminder of the luxuries some leaders enjoy, often in stark contrast to the lives of their citizens. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe and like this video. Thanks for watching.